This week, our history segment is taking us to the movies, or I should say, the movies of old anyway. Charles McElwee is the Vice President of the Board of Directors for the Greater Hazleton Historical Society and Museum. And you said with the Oscars just around the corner, now's a perfect time to talk about, I guess, the entertainment days of old here in this area.
Right, so it's Oscar season, so lots going on, a lot of momentum, obviously, for the films competing for those awards. But yes, Hazleton was a center for entertainment. And certainly with so many of its theaters and proximity to New York, it was a major attraction for vaudeville acts. And with theaters like the Grand Theater, they would entertain. So the Grand Theater was really the first major theater in Hazleton. And it was not only a center for entertainment, but really an epicenter of the region's history. So in the late 1800s, William Jennings Bryan, who was he was almost like the perpetual candidate for office. He always ran for president as a populist Democrat. He stumped at the Grand Theater to try to win over votes in the area. And then that was also the critical setting for the decision to strike in 1902. So in 1902, miners were protesting really the conditions of the mines and the low wages. And it was at the Grand Theater where Johnny Mitchell, the United Mine Workers president, cast a deciding vote to strike. And it was the most significant coal strike in the history of the United States and the first time the government had to intervene as a neutral arbitrator. So going from there, we also have the Family Theater, which was opened by the Hersker family at the corner of Wyoming Street and Broad, so Broad, Wyoming. And the Herskers were initially involved in the theater industry in Monomoy City, but they came here, and that was an act for vaudeville. And of course, in 1909, the Palace Theater, if you look at Frankie's, that was also a major destination.
Wow. So we definitely had some great entertainment in our area. So this is just the vaudeville end of it. We're going to touch later on about the actual movie theaters that then followed.
Yeah, so this is really the first half of an interesting history. So we're talking about the pre-talkie, really World War I era of entertainment before the silent pictures. And with vaudeville, I mean, just the Palace Theater, it was a 1,200-seat theater. It was ornamented with brass railing, rich velvet carpets, sculpted cherubs that buttressed the balcony. It was opened by the Lochran brothers, who actually had, if people remember the tragic fire at the Hotel Gary in the 1950s, that was originally called the Hotel Lochran. Well, the Lochran brothers had this movie theater downtown, and that was burned to the ground in 1917. And actually the late L.A. Cherone, our beloved historian of the region, he actually investigated this, and his argument was that it was an act of arson committed by Soviet radicals.
Wow. Wow. Always great things that you're talking about here each week on SSPTV. And he'll be back to talk more about the actual movie theaters in part 2 of this interesting look at entertainment in our area.